Excited to show you new release version 6.0.2. We released this last week, so for a lot of you, this will be the first time that you're seeing the new data dashboards that we've presented in BrowseReporter. It'll be myself and Mike, who's one of our senior technical specialists, that'll be going through the webinar today. As far as the kind of focus of the webinar, it's definitely going to be jumping in and showing the product. I'll do a very quick presentation here, then we'll pass it over to Mike to actually show you the new upgrades that have been made. So with the web dashboard, we've made it a lot easier to understand the data that's being produced from BrowseReporter. So instead of having to pull PDFs, you now have the ability to live run dashboards on the web browser. Very simple to choose different groups or users in the top right, change the dates, and everything will update and refresh for you there. The old reports are still absolutely available, but a lot of our customers, we think, will end up using these dashboards as their easier way to dig in to the key stats and data. But if you do need those reports that were previously available, they're still absolutely accessible for you with BrowseReporter. We've got 5 different sections at the top, overview, productivity, websites, applications, and bandwidth. This is a snapshot of the productivity section. And when Mike goes through the actual dashboard, he'll show you the ability to extract Excel data, PDF data, et cetera, as well from these dashboards. More comparison information at the top than previously. So nice way to quickly see how things are going versus previous time periods. And productivity wise, it makes it a lot easier to understand how your team is doing. In addition, you can actually click into different teams or users and dig into it in more detail. Again, Mike will show that when we jump into the dashboard. Other new enhancements, so the ability to classify categories locally for BrowseControl. We made a similar change for BrowseReporter in 6.0.1, but now you can do the same for BrowseControl. Copying operator accounts has been simplified as well. We've also made sure that things are compatible with Windows 11. So for anyone who is upgrading to Windows 11, that is going to be accessible. And there's about 30 other bug fixes and optimizations in the release as well. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Mike, who will be able to show the latest dashboard.
This is the web dashboard for the web console. Everyone can see my screen. So here we go. We have the overview. Over on the left-hand side, you'll be able to see there's a new drop-down for the dashboard. You can still access the old management right through there. So once we're into the dashboard, you'll be able to see you can mess around with all types of settings. You have product websites, unproductive website, neutral websites, see everything. You can check out your top 5 applications that are used within your entire network. You could even choose certain groups. So if I wanted to just see what the IT group was doing, I'd be able to check that out. You have the ability to see your top active applications or the groups that have the most active time. So they're spending the most time actively working, they're not going idle. And then the same thing for the top 5 idle groups. And then down at the bottom on the overview page, you'll get a complete activity log. You'll be able to sort it by most to least. You have the ability to take out columns if you want. And then you can easily export this data to an Excel sheet or a PDF sheet to send to any other relevant parties in your organization if they want to see it. Next, we'll go into the productivity tab. So here you can see color-coded, green would be productive, red's unproductive, yellow is neutral. So this can all be defined up here. So your productivity grading, and you can choose how you want to grade domains or websites. It's very simple. And then from there, you can, same thing with all of them, you'll be able to separate the groups. So you can see like digging down right into productive, unproductive, and neutral. Your top 5s are still all available here. You'll be able to see what your most productive groups, what's the most used websites. It's good to see this kind of information so you can see if your users are spending a lot of unproductive time. Something like YouTube here, you can see we have it labeled as unproductive. And there's a ton of time. It's actually the most unused website, so that could be an issue. You might want to use BrowseControl to block that off. And then you can come down here and you'll be able to see which groups and which users. I could click right into the group. And now I'm seeing, hey, this user, what they're doing, their productive time, their unproductive time. Very simple. Actually, this is the group, so I can even go into the user and I'll be able to dig down even deeper and see, hey, they're spending time on YouTube, Twitter, Google Drive, Yahoo News, gives you all these relevant information for their bandwidth usage. And then you get a full activity log, which will give you the active time on websites. You can even switch it to a detailed. It'll tell you the domain, what computer they were using, their runtime, the title of the pages, and the active time that they're actually there. Same thing here. You have the ability to add or remove columns. So you can tell if it's a blocked category. So all these are allowed pages, what category it is. Very simple to use. And then the same thing with applications here. And then you'll get that nice rundown, timestamps, application, how long they were actively using it. So we'll head back out to the main dashboard page. Very smooth usage. And then we'll go back to the websites here. So now you'll see the complete rundown of websites. Same kind of thing. You're going to see your top fives. You'll get the nice information graphs of active and idle, color-coded. Gives you the nice timestamps at the top. You have the ability to change all these dates around, selecting all your groups again. And then we're coming back to the activity log, gives you the rundown of websites, their most active time, least active time, what categories there, and what they're graded as. So some sites actually have multiple gradings. So you may have multiple productivity scores. And then again, all of these, you can change the amount of items up to 500, and you can easily export it to a PDF or Excel. Very simple, just clicking the button. Same kind of feel, you're looking at your applications. It gives you the daily breakdown based on your calendar selections. And then the top 5 applications, top 5s again, activity log. So you'll see across all of them, it's fairly standard how we laid it out. So it's simple to use and read. And then from the bandwidth, you'll be able to see, hey, what days are we getting spikes? And then we'll see what users are doing. Very simple. So we can see on this day, Alan was using about 3 gigs. So, hey, what was Alan doing 3 gigs of data on one day? But yeah, that's the dashboard. We'll be able to get that with the 6.0.2 installation. The second feature that should help management will come down here, and we'll go to the operators creation. So if you have new users or other operators that need to get into the console, you can always create a new user. And then, so if you don't want to give them full access permission, maybe they can just access certain things like in the console, maybe they can just run a report. Maybe you have multiple users you need to create. Maybe it's your first time setting this up. Very simple. Rather than having to recreate for every single one, I could just copy those settings over, and now I have a second user. And then you can just do that for as many users as you would need. Should save a lot of management time if you do have to add more operators into your system. The next setting would be this reclassification. So we did add this for BrowseReporter, and now we've merged it together to make it so that it works for BrowseControl as well. So when you have a category, maybe something along the lines of YouTube or Reddit, something that you would be using, but maybe in your business side, you don't like how it's labeled. Maybe it's technology and the way that your company is using it. Maybe it's technology or media videos. So we'll do something like YouTube. And then we would just select a more appropriate group for it. So maybe it's just an entertainment site, and then you would just add it. And then when you come and check your reports, your BrowseControl category filter, your BrowseReporter labeling within the dashboard, and all your reports, it will reflect the new updated classification. That would be the 6.0.2 updates in a nutshell. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Neil, and we can take some questions if anyone has any questions.
Okay, great. So we just got one question. Where can I get the update and how to install it from George Scapin? Mike, do you want to address that? George, the only other thing to note is this is available on the web dashboard. So if you've upgraded your subscription to include the web dashboard, then you will be able to access that. So the web dashboard was launched as part of 6.0. If you don't have the web dashboard as part of your account, you can reach out to support@currentware.com, and they can help you get a quote for adding that on. But Mike will show you just the upgrade side of it at this moment.
So as you can see, this is the knowledge base for upgrading. Very simple. It gives you step-by-step rundown of how to do the upgrade, the install, as well as it gives you the direct link to the install right there in step 2. It's going to give you a couple of steps like providing, getting yourself a backup of your database, and the clients will automatically upgrade once you do the server upgrade as well.
Perfect. Daniel is asking a question about tracking individual users. The tracking of individual users is absolutely possible. The way that the BrowseReporter solution works is you get group information, but also the ability to click into individual users. Mike, do you mind just screen sharing your individual user dashboard, just so Daniel can see some of the examples of what's shown in there?
All right, so got it back up over here. So we want to look at individual users. So here within the dashboard or within the legacy report, you can check out individual user data. So if I know what user I want to look at, so here, let's select Elon, select Jared, Raja. And then it's going to give me a breakdown of specifically only things that those users were doing this week. If I wanted to just see one user, so I just want to see what this one user is doing, it'll give me the dashboard overview of that user, as well as I can click right into them and it'll give me the direct drill down for that user. I'll be able to see their active time, their idle time, what pages they were spending a lot of time on, and the bandwidth usage again, and then the complete activity log that I can export. So for in your example, if the HR team needed to see something, you could just export it over and then send it directly to them. And then same with the old reports, you do have the ability to run reports, any of the regular reports, so sites visited, top browsing sites, what they searched for, their top application usage, specifically on groups, as well as I can also select users.
Perfect.
Just run that report.
George had another question for you, Mike. So if you want to not dive into groups because you have a lot of groups, is there a way to just top the unproductive new user, not by the user group? So can you just show the quickest way to look at the least productive users?
Right there. So what I did actually was in my dashboard selection, I just switched it over to users. I selected all. And then here I can see my top 5 idle time. And then if you wanted to see top 5 unproductive.
If you go to the productivity at the top left.
Yep. I can see my top 5 unproductive.
Okay, perfect. And one of the email questions that came in was just with regards to how this data is stored and just making sure that there was an understanding of whether CurrentWare has access to it. There's no change to the data infrastructure as part of this upgrade. It's still on premise and or with your bring your own cloud setup. CurrentWare does not have access to these data dashboards or your data at all. So there's been no changes to that infrastructure. And another question that just came in via email, was in from earlier today, was with respect to AccessPatrol. So there was a question as to whether the similar upgrades will be coming out for AccessPatrol, and that is absolutely the plan for our product team to have the reports for AccessPatrol and enPowerManager be in this dashboard-like format versus just in the PDFs that are currently available. Well, I really appreciate everyone taking the time today. Really appreciate you taking the time to look at some of the upgrades that we've made, and look forward to you trying out the newest versions of CurrentWare. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.